still get peeled. I'm aiming for weeks, so I'm aiming to kill. Set up and the men's don't give a fuck, you can still get drilled. All I wanna do is crush that porn. My niggas them told me make peace before you go to war. I said fuck that, I wanna drill now and then drill some more. Smoke my man in the face, yeah that point got scored. Couldn't give a toss about law, niggas no CP. More time if it was done by the 7, it was done by me. I ride for my G's, put my heart on the streets. So if you see me, that's not on my teeth. So chat tough and I'm spinning round. Pass the upside, I spin the sounds. When I spin the bangs, try and know that's a nigga down. And where I'm from, we always know to keep things around. All the risks that the team be taking. That's why my nigga Nero's money.
It's good time. You alright, brother?
Yeah, I'm good. How about yourself?
Yeah, man. Sound. I just thought, come on for an hour, something, chop a few fights up and talk about what happened last night.
Mm-hmm.
Go Cole, salute. Stormy, salute to you, Stormy. I told you AJ was going to drown. London G, salute to you, brother. If you want to get on, Stormy, you're welcome, or anyone else. Just let us know. Well, what did you think of the fight, Ty?
I thought it was a bit kind of more of the same like last time. Yeah, nothing really surprised me about it. I kind of thought it would be like this. I said it would be like this. I To be honest, I thought he was slower this fight than he was last time. I liked him a bit better earlier in the last fight because he was much faster. His hands weren't faster; it was his feet. He moved better. I mean, he's in there with a talent. He's in there with a.
Can you just drop that link in the chat for us, Ty?
Yeah, he's in there with a actually
Thank
good
you.
good fighter. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't get knocked out.
Well, that's one thing he did get right.
Yeah, he won some rounds. I guess he moves on from here.
Yeah, I mean, my intake, Stormy, Ty's going to drop the link in the chat, so if anyone wants to get on, you're welcome. My take on it, Ty, I saw improvements, definitely saw improvements, because he was using his jab more and he was using body shots more, but for me, the pressure just wasn't there. Like when he hurt him in round 9, that was what he should have been doing from the start. He should have been backing him up. I mean, I know it's easy for us to just sit here and say this and say that. It's different when you're in the ring, but for me, he just wasn't aggressive enough. He didn't press enough for me. I think he let Usyk just sort of like get back into the rhythm of it. It was virtually halfway through the fight for me. I felt like it was sort of just like the first fight.
Yeah. He
heard him. Just dictated the pace of the fight.
Yeah, in the last fight, he hurt him in the 7th round, and I thought the tables would go more towards AJ, and then you let the other guy get back in the fight, and he swept the last round and won. It was the same deal that happened. This time, just more of the same. I mean, I don't know. It's not like that he can't ever beat him. This is the problem with this, because this is part of the reason why too many people don't watch boxing, is because of this stuff. These guys, obviously, they can't fight the same guy 8 or 9 times. This is not, EPL on a Saturday. If Man City only played Liverpool once every 2 years, like that wouldn't happen, right?
Yeah.
So you only get 1 or 2 shots, if you're lucky 3, and you have to do. You have to perform. If you don't, it's a hard road up, especially now.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it is what it is.
Robert Garcia, I couldn't work out what was happening. He was leading off in the training camp last night because it seemed to me like Angel Fernandez was giving most of the orders, and Robert Garcia was sort of like taking a back step. I did hear Robert Garcia saying that he wanted to see more of the double jab. Um,
Well, these guys, they bring in too many people in the. Sometimes they'll bring in two or three people in the corner. I mean, there was. I don't know if you remember fight a guy, telling somebody to keep his right hand up, but he was
yeah,
getting hurt to keep his right hand up, protect the right side of the face, but he was getting hit by the right hand. He was getting hit by the left, not keep his left hand up. And he was talking about holding the phone and keep it together, brother. In a complete dumb fuck. But the old guy next to him in the corner, the other guy, was
yeah,
telling the guy exactly what he needed to do to turn him and defense.
yeah,
And they were going back and forth, and it was just very weird. Yeah, too many people in the corner. I think too many people in the corner sometimes.
yes, I think so. Just let me read this comment. Uh, London G's put, does Usyk have a chance against Fury? I think he does. Yeah, of course he does. I think he does.
He's also
Um,
the guy who
I think. Go on.
he didn't have a good performance against Chisora, right? And Chisora, they would say, is a bum compared to AJ, right?
Yeah,
But he
but
kind of fights to the level, I guess you can say.
Styles, as we all know, Styles make fights. You see, I think, me personally, I think Usyk struggled more against Derek Chisora than he did against
Yeah,
Anthony Joshua.
yeah.
I just think, hey, Cool Breeze, salute to you, brother. Been a while. Salute to you. Hope you're good out there. I just think, me personally, Ty, I just think, I don't know, mate. It's obviously, you just fighters, it's just how it is, isn't there? There's always a fighter who can beat a fighter. And I just think Usyk can just read him and, I don't know, but I'm not criticising his performance. For me, I saw improvements, but what I didn't see enough of was he just didn't apply enough pressure for me. Um, I knew one thing I did definitely get right. I knew Usyk wasn't going to knock him out, and
Yeah,
I've seen so many channels or so many comments say Usyk will. I mean, I was on the boxing page the other week and last weekend, in fact, and some guy was putting Usyk will knock him out in 3 rounds. I was like,
it
not a chance, mate. But yeah, go on, my bad.
was almost as if he was hitting him. He was waking him up.
Yeah,
He was waking AJ up. AJ just kept pushing more the more he was getting hit. It was a bit weird. That's why some of these guys need to wear hand weights or something, so that they punch harder because it's that shouldn't be happening, should it? You hit a guy, you keep hitting him, and he keeps coming out like that. You should really look at your leaf blowers and just say, I need an upgrade. I need an
yeah.
upgrade.
Do you know what gets me? It's like I watched the fight again today because I mean I watched it on my Fire Stick yesterday and it was skipping to and fro. So I ended up turning it off after round 10 because I couldn't be bothered with it keep buffering. And so anyway, I found a channel on YouTube today what played virtually the like full fight. Anyway, I watched it, and for me, what I don't understand about here's the OG.
Mhm.
Uh, where's it adding to stream? Salute Stormy. Hope you're
So
good, brother.
What's good, man? What's good?
Yeah, I'm good. Are you?
I'm okay. Just settling in on a Sunday afternoon, trying to relax a little bit. Just checking out some kung fu flicks, you know.
As you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, good man. Yeah, for me, Stormy, what I couldn't understand is when Usyk was hitting him, like comboing on him. For me, he didn't seem to want to like hold on to him or something. He was just taking too many punches. And for me, if I was getting hit that many times, I'd have like grabbed hold of him, swung on him, lean on him, anything. But I don't know. I mean, Usyk's he's a better fighter. We knew that anyway. But I don't know, man. What's your take on it, Stormy?
Well, first of all, let me say salute to Tyrone. I ain't seen you in a minute. How you doing, Tyrone?
I've been doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay, hanging in there. Uh, and thank you both again for having me on with you.
Hey, welcome,
Listen,
Stormy.
listen AJ didn't fight a bad fight yesterday. He didn't fight. He just fought a guy that's better, and I've talked about this the entire time prior to today, this fight, whatever. I said he's not that good, but and sometimes I have a way of articulating things, and it can come off as offensive because I don't sugarcoat it. I just kind of cut the chase and be like, boom, this is my point.
Yeah,
I can always explain my position. It's just that people don't give a damn about what your position is. They really don't. So that's why I'm blunt in my assessments, because those that can relate or even understand to the depths of how or where I may be able to go, they'll get the message. Those that are shallow and don't want to and don't care because they are biased, they got other things going on. There's no, but AJ is not that good. And I've said so many times that since he defeated Prince Charles Martin, he never got better. He never got better. It was the same guy, the same performances, night in and night out ever since. It's just that on one occasion, a little fat, pudgy dude decided to fight back and defeated him. The same fat, pudgy dude in a rematch got fatter and more pudgier and couldn't perform up to the level of which he did the first time, which is why AJ was able to become a two-time champion. Ed Hearn said in their post-press conference, that he had fought this series of elite fighters, and where? The fighters that people wanted him to fight, he never faced. Luis King Kong Ortiz, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. These were quality fighters that could have given him the merit that they had placed on him without he having taking the challenges. But progression is something in your career in boxing, because you go from a prospect to a contender, hopefully, and aspirations toward one day becoming champion. He was a prospect that became a champion. Am I wrong?
yeah, become a champion, yeah.
But he was never a contender. Am I wrong?
I know.
Because if he was a contender, he would have faced certain challenges as a contender, which will allow you opportunity to assess growth and advancement and progression. That did not happen. He went from prospect to champion. And what did they tell us after he became champion? When we said, we want to see him fight Wilder. We want to see him fight King Kong. We want to see him fight this guy or that guy. You know what they say? Hey, pump the brakes. He's a young champion and he still got room to grow. But where was that progression? You continue to market him as something that he wasn't. He bought into his own hype. You even fixed the environment around him as much as possible so that he could be still successful. The fight against Carlos Takam is an example. Takam, a veteran, in a competitive match, as AJ began to get tired in that fight, Takam began to come on. Next thing you know, they're stopping the fight. AJ didn't have him in trouble. When AJ had him in trouble early in the fight, they didn't stop the fight. They stopped the fight late in the fight when Takam was coming on and AJ was depleting.
Yeah, the rest did stop it early, that's true.
Against Joseph Parker, they made certain that Parker's fight, which is mid-range to inside against AJ, that's not his normal way of fighting, but against AJ, his advantages were mid-range to inside. They didn't let Parker get close to him. Every time he got within being able to smell his deodorant, the referee separated him, broke him up. How do we know how good the guy is if he's not being challenged or tested? Do you guys realize that the man doesn't know how to fight inside? He doesn't know how to fight on the inside. That's the problem that he has against a fighter like Alexander Usyk. Because he can't fight on the inside, Usyk can dictate everything else. Even if he traps Usyk, he can't keep him there because he doesn't know the things to do as an inside fighter to keep him there. So Usyk could be like a fish that you catch with your hands, and he'll flip around and slip right out of your hands, and he's back into the water swimming away from you. Tell me I'm wrong.
No. I mean, yeah, I see where you're coming from, yeah. For me, Stormy, though, to be fair, man, a lot of these fucking boxers have ducked one and have ducked fights anyway. A lot of these heavyweights, you've all ducked one another, to be fair.
Throughout the weight classes. Throughout the weight classes. There's too much of that today.
Yeah,
it's
that's
too much of
true.
it because, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Laws, but I just want to say this and I'll be quiet.
No worries.
If we had more of those fights where contenders and guys fought each other for the right for contention, then you would see separation of talent. But do you realize, and I had a conversation with another content creator on this very subject here, do you realize how many guys, when they fight on the network platforms that they're on, whether it's PBC, whether it's Top Rank, DAZN, Fight TV, wherever it is, do you realize that most of these guys get into fights or sign on for fights that the opponent is somebody that they're supposed to beat? No 50-50 fights, no fights where, I don't know if this guy's going to win this one. None of that. It's always an opponent, and you don't know where the guy is from, or it's a guy that's been rehashed after being beaten so many times in the past and is padding the stats. But it's like, where are the competitive matches? And then when they do have a competitive match against an unknown or whatever, then their own fan base says, oh man, he should retire. He should hang it up. It's like he hasn't even gotten his feet wet yet because he hasn't been challenged. But think about it. Sergio Lipinets come in there last night and beat the crap out of Omar Figueroa Jr. Beat the crap out of him.
Yeah, I missed it. I fell asleep.
Omar was supposed to fight AB.
Yeah.
AB, who's been out of boxing for a long time, out of shape and everything, which is really why he couldn't get the fight go through, because he couldn't get rid of that beer belly or anything. He's just like, but Omar was going to feast on AB.
Yeah.
But Lipinets, who hasn't fought since losing to Ennis a year ago, a little over, comes in at his natural weight. He had been in the gym training. He had a couple of fights fall through. He was going to fight a southpaw. It fell through. He was going to fight another guy. It fell through. But he had been in the gym. but he had dropped back down to 140. So he was ready to go. And it showed. He beat the crap out of Omar last night.
Yeah.
I want to see him in there against Catterall. I want to see him in there against Cepeda. I want to see him in there against Josh Taylor, because he's where he's supposed to be. But see, this is what I'm talking about. How many guys are going to continue to just pad their stats? So pad, Lipinets was in there against Boots Ennis. That's not a bad loss for him. He took the fight. Yeah. And he's a rough and tumble guy. But of course, Boots was too youthful, too talented, too big for him. But there are guys at 140 that he can face, and it's going to be, a hell of a match for any of them to get in there with him. That's where he won his world title. So when you think about those things and put them together, this is the difference here when you see these guys. And that's all I try to convey, man. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, Stormy. Yeah. Like I say, I think all these fighters are ducking one another, and it's just. I was listening to a channel today, a British channel, and he was saying, that the problem with boxing, like he was saying about Eddie Hearn, he's just he puts pressure on fighters because the man's constantly in the media telling the media what's happening, and the fans expect that. From the fighter and stuff like that. Because, for instance, he was on about when Frank Warren and Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn were trying to put the Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight together. Apparently, they all had an handshake on it, and Insider had told him that they all had an handshake on it, that there was to be no news leaked to the media that they were trying to get this fight together. Who was the first person he went and shot his mouth off was Eddie Hearn, saying, this fight will be signed next week. It'll be signed. So if you can remember a few months, about a year ago back, he was every week he was giving everyone an update, and they hadn't even signed anything. So that's what he was saying. Like the problem, has he put enough pressure on AJ? I don't know, probably so. Me personally, I think with Anthony Joshua, like you said, he was marketed. Yeah, I understand making money for your fight, yeah, but yes, he should have fought people like that, like Wilder and Ortiz, without a figure of a doubt. Will he come again? Where do you see him going from here now? Any of you two? I think he'll come again, but whether or not he'll win a world title again, I don't know. But I don't think he should retire.
Yeah,
like what Johnny Nelson said.
Yeah, I don't think he should. I've said about
Johnny Nelson said he should retire.
Well, he said in the week, he said if AJ loses, he thinks that AJ will retire. And AJ out on him on Twitter, give him a bit of a roasting.
Yeah, I don't.
Can't hear you, Ty.
Yeah, I don't. I'm usually harsh on this. I don't think he should retire, honestly, because he lost to actually a good guy that has talent. I mean, if you've seen him at cruiserweight, like I think first time I saw him was when he fought Tabisu Machunu on the Hopkins Smith undercard when Hopkins got knocked out of the ring. That was the first time I saw him, and then I saw him beat Michael Hunter and all this stuff. And the guy likes moving. He is a talent. I think he's the best heavyweight in the world right now for sure. And did Joshua get knocked out by him? No. Oh God, you don't want to get knocked out at all by any cost because you're gonna get memed out. He won rounds, I guess. And what is he, 32 or 33? Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 33, and he just turned 33.
Yeah, 33. Yeah, I guess he can continue. What happens next? I don't know. if he wants to continue, I guess. I mean,
I
worst
have
case
a
scenario
suggestion.
did not happen to him, so that's good.
Yeah,
He's
I
not
have
that's
a
a good
pulled.
suggestion
comment.
for him.
That's a
If
good
he
comment.
if
Sorry.
he if he's gonna resume his career, start doing the things that I suggested he should do. Go out there and start fighting fighters, styles, work on your craft, and learn how to become a complete fighter. He would have benefited so much from not taking an immediate rematch. See, that's Hearn's greed there, because Usyk in a year, that because they last fought a year ago, right?
Yeah.
That's Hearn's greed. He could have done what Lennox Lewis did, and Lennox was trying to advise him, and he called Lennox a clown. He could have selected a new trainer, like he ended up bringing in Mr. Garcia, but he could have taken 2 fights. Didn't Tyson Fury take 2 fights in between his fights with Deontay Wilder?
Well, I said
Yeah,
this about him.
and
He's not active
the
enough.
whole point of that is to get acclimated to your new coach, to work on some things that
Yeah.
the new coach is going to bring to you, to get your confidence back up to winning again, and to go out there and come back. So when you do go back in against Usyk, that you come in reinvigorated. He just came in off of a loss, hoping to right the wrongs. You can't always do that unless you happen to be a most seasoned veteran like a Fury, and we're talking about in these times, like a Fury or Usyk yourself. But like I said, Fury was an example where he showed you he went and fought a couple of guys. We questioned who the guys were, but he still did it. He went out there, got a
Yeah.
couple of wins under his belt, got his confidence up. You could work on some stuff. You know, he could fight a small guy. He could fight a big guy. He could fight a guy who could punch but can't move. He could fight a guy that can move but can't punch. You can do things to prepare yourself for what you're going to see and work on them without jeopardizing your position. That's the time when you fight a guy that on paper, yes, it looks like you should win this against this, because you're working on stuff. You don't go in there against Usyk with some new stuff that Robert Garcia told you, and you say, yeah, we're going to do this and we're going to get our belts back. What if you fail? And that did happen. Now it's really back to the basics, right? Well, you could have gone back to the basics after the first loss. Again, he signed a lifetime contract with these people, and they put him in deep. But at the press conference, they say, oh, he's fought pressure after pressure, hard fight after hard fight. It wasn't necessarily pressure. It wasn't necessarily hard fight, but y'all put the pressure on him because of what you were trying to do. You were trying to make that money off of his back. But if he was truly the real investment to you, you would have invested in having quality people work on his skill set to bring him to where he needed to be. You didn't invest in that. You only wanted bags of money.
Mm.
And now you're without the championships, and you got to get back in line. So you might as well, if he's going to resume his career, start doing it the right way. Otherwise, go sit down, or let him go sit down, because I think you run that horse as far as it could go in this race.
Yeah. Just let me say this, slope, Mo, just before you say something, just let me say this quickly. You've got an echo, Mo. This was one thing what I stated on the 2 videos what I made about this fight. I always said, AJ, for me, one of AJ's problems was he's not been active enough for me. Up until the Klitschko fight, he was very active. Now I know fighters slow down. I know they do. They all do it. once they get to where they want to be or they get a championship belt. But for me, fighting once a year was a problem. Like you just said, Stormy, he should have had in between fights, in between, to keep himself active and stop not being rusty. To have a year off and then to just come back and try and fight, it's a big ask. Go on, my bad. Go on, Mo. Salute to you, bro.
Salute to everybody, man. Salute to everybody. I just don't understand this. You know, wherever I go, there's a lot of criticism going on about AJ. I think he done well last night. Did he win? No. You know, nobody can beat Usyk. Usyk is the best heavyweight. He beats everyone. He's hard to hit. It is what it is, you know? And people saying he needs to retire and all that sort of stuff, like people like Johnny Nelson and YouTubers and everyone, you know, you're not in his shoes, you know? And Eddie Hearn, you know, what Stormy said about AJ signing the lifelong contract, you know, it's good for him because he made a lot of money from that, you know?
Oh yeah,
A lot of people would buy his hands for that. Last night he earned 33 million. Most of his purses are over 20 million. So to me, if I was in that seat, I would take it. I would take the money. There's nothing wrong with it. All these other heavyweights, they were there before AJ. And I just see there's too much envy from everyone, man. Everyone tweeting. I've seen Deontay Wilder, he tweeted last night as well. Tyson Fury as well had to say something as well. I just don't understand this.
I see. I agree, Mo, with you. I agree. I mean, I'm not going to go. For me, I thought he fought a better fight than he did the first time. But my only problem, I ain't got no problem with any of these fights. Well, I have, but what I'm trying to say is, for me, Mo, he should have just. The only. Well, there is a few things. I can criticise both fighters, but we could be here all night. Well, I can't. I don't know. I just didn't see enough pressure from him, Mo.
There wasn't enough pressure because he tried and he couldn't get close to him.
The bus. Say again,
he couldn't get close to him. He could not get close to him. Whatever he done last night, he tried to go to the body. That didn't work out. He's just not good enough. It's just what it is. Does that mean he loses against Wilder? No. He can still beat Wilder. He can still beat Fury. That's, you know, stars makes fight. He struggles against little guys. And he also admitted that he struggles against Southpaw. At least he's admitting, you know, that he struggles against Southpaw. You know, and last night, the outburst, that's emotions. You know, we're not in his shoes. Like, you know, and yeah, he threw the belt and stuff like that. Like, you know, I would have probably handled it a different way. But I'm not AJ. I'm not a multimillionaire. You know, it is what it is. You know, people asked to see the real AJ. People were saying he's fake, he's media trained. And last night, that was the real AJ. And now people don't like the real AJ. He's only 32 years old, man.
Do you know what I think it is as well, Ty? Mo, I think a lot of people went off over here anyway.
Wait, Stormy, you're on mute.
A lot of people went off AJ for the comments what he made during the COVID. Because I've seen that. I was reading it. In fact, I was reading it on Facebook today. And one guy put, "I'm glad he got beat because I've never liked him." He said, "I've gone off him ever since." He said them things at that rally in London during COVID. So I don't know.
That didn't reserve the right for him to behave like he did. He behaved like an immature adolescent. You understand? From what I'm accustomed to, you don't behave that way. You don't. And it's too much of that. I did a stream earlier today where I talked about it. The Will Smith slap, Kanye West and his outbursts and the things he's done. He's done several things. And we're living in a society now that actually condones this. No, there should be a line of respect and discipline. Public venues, especially where people pay their money. I can remember going back a few years ago where the second Batman film by Christopher Nolan premiered, The Dark Knight. And that film went on to be a very successful film. And Heath Ledger played the Joker in the film, and he unfortunately passed away just as the film was wrapping up and everything. But when that film premiered in the theater, a lone gunman dressed like the Joker opened fire on people in the movie theater and killed many people that wanted to watch that film. And the way the media handled it and the way they talked about it, we've had numerous public shootings here in the US after that. But it was not dealt with properly or even covered properly. And as a result, we've seen it extend and happen more. People are not being held accountable. People are not being taught and forced to respect a certain line that you're just not supposed to cross, because ethics are involved here. We're not talking about just professional athletes. Do you remember the brawl in the Palace in the NBA when the Indiana Pacers and the Detroit Pistons played and the players were fighting with the fans and all of that stuff? When does this stuff stop? You're taking your kids to see the circus, and some fool decides that he's going to incite some type of riot or something in there, and now you got to worry about your children and your family's safety or whatever, and it was supposed to be just a night out of entertainment. AJ behaving like he behaved is inappropriate, and it should be said. This has nothing, emotions. Yeah, you're emotional because you lost, but that doesn't give you the right to do what you did. You take your emotions, you pack that up, you go back in your own dwelling, and you deal with it there. You don't reserve the right, because you think you packing, to pull your package out in front of everybody and say, hey, look at this. No. When does it stop? When do people pay for their behavior? Boxing is a martial art. And in martial art, they teach you about discipline. But I've said it time and time again. You've got all these guys out here who profess to be boxing trainers and coaches. But where are they teaching the principles of discipline? I'll wait for that, because it's not happening. And these young charges are showing you that. AB at the press conference. You ain't with me, huh? Shut that soft stuff up and all of that. All of that was a loose cannon. But now we're supposed to feel sorry for him because he can't get his act together. No, because he's been behaving like that the entire time. And people have been passing the buck. When it begins to affect the bottom line, which you know is that green stuff, then people want to get, a little tough and everything. But hey, man, we've seen guys be allowed to play, be allowed to go, be allowed to show, perform, or whatever. And no one draws that line of discipline. You should expect anything and everything when the discipline is not there. And that's where we are as a society. Many people may not like it, but I'm telling the truth.
To me, I think he had a mental breakdown last night. And he also admitted it earlier on his Twitter. He had a mental breakdown. He recognized it, and he did apologize. He's only human. He had so much pressure. Everybody deals with the pressure differently. I'm not trying to make no excuses for the guy, but I think the guy needs a break. Too many people criticized him. And, he was waiting for the Fury fight. Now he's not going to get that fight. He's disappointed. He's a young man. I've seen video of him, saying to his dad, get off me. And that wasn't on. That wasn't nice to see. But you clearly could see that's a mental breakdown. How can you say to your dad, get off me? It's just it's mental breakdown, Stormy. He needs help, you know.
It's not mental
And the people
breakdown.
around him need to help him.
It's
But to
not a
me,
mental breakdown. It's a wrong thing to start equating mental illnesses with what these guys are doing with the loss of discipline of today. That's happening far too much. There are people with real mental issues out here. Real. That right there, where was his mental conditioning? He's the same damn guy. Where was his mental conditioning when he was winning? You are not going to always have it your way. We had a real big jackpot over here, a $2 billion lottery. Okay, I bought a few tickets. I didn't win. Am I supposed to go out and be an asshole and act out of character and everything because I didn't win? No.
because you're mentally strong, Stormy. And remember, you're much older than AJ as well. AJ is 32 years old. You know, he hasn't suffered this type of back-to-back defeat in a professional. This is the highest level of boxing.
But he
Now
has
he knows that
something
he's
that
not
I
going to be
don't
fighting for
have.
undisputed.
He has something that I don't have. He has the economic means to be able to put people in place around him to help him be the best that he can be. And he hasn't done that.
The thing is, though, he's gone past that level.
He went around interviewing various coaches in the U.S. in an interview where he stated he doesn't need the U.S. But yeah, after losing to Usyk, he went around and interviewed a series of coaches over here like he was some type of savant that was picking someone to do some work for him. And he ended up selecting Robert Garcia. But the whole point of that was this. What was that about? Is it about trying to get better or just making a change that people can look at that's respectable and give the impression that you're really doing something when you're not? See, there are trainers that were around that are no longer around. Emmanuel Stewart, Nazim Richardson, Eddie Futch, guys like that. They wouldn't work with a guy like AJ. They would have nothing to do with him. You know why? Because he has a characteristic profile that tells you all that you need to know about him. And these guys who are quick to grab the checks that they'll get paid for working with a guy, they don't have the ethics. So they're not going to tell him what he needs to hear. I guarantee you, Robert Garcia probably saw after working 3 or 4 days with the guy in the gym, what the hell have I gotten myself into? I guarantee you.
Yeah, but he's getting paid a lot of money, Stormy, man. And the guys that you mentioned, I'm sure they would work for him as well if they see the money.
Robert,
the amount of money that these guys are getting paid, they'll stop his hand.
Robert didn't need the money, but I understand that every point that I make, you come back with, but I'm not making excuses for him. But listen, man, you are not getting the message. So that's why people like yourself will continue to be disappointed by people like him. I'm not disappointed in him. I'm not
disappointed either. I'm not disappointed. I'm just disappointed at the performance. That's all it is.
I saw the train wreck on the tracks before it became a wreck. It was a train coming down the tracks, okay? But I was the one saying that train is going to crash.
And to me, I don't look into it like that.
Oh, it's going at a great speed. The tracks look good and everything. But I saw what type of engine the train had, brother. And it needed some serious addressing, some repairs that were overlooked. It happens all the time. That's why we, meaning trainers and coaches, mentors, are supposed to be efficient with what we do. When you just let someone out the gate, like a dog that's untrained, he'll maul the first person he gets to, will he not? How many analogies do I have to give for the message to be driven home? Or will you just settle for the bite in the ass?
I understand the message. I understand the message. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Loss.
No, I was just saying what he's still talking about when he threw the belts out the ring after the excuse me, after the fight, and then is that what you're talking
Yeah,
about? Like
they're talking about his post fight.
Oh right, his behaviour after. Me personally, I think, yeah, I don't conduct that behaviour. I can see where Mo's coming from as well, emotions, but I don't know. I do think that he took the limelight away from Usyk after the fight, but I mean, I don't know. He's just, to me, he's disappointed that he lost because I don't think it helped though that the corner were telling him that he was winning every round. Because if you watch the fight back in between the rounds, that Angel Fernandez kept telling him that he was winning every round. So did that play a part of it because he thought he had done enough? I think so. I don't think that helped at all. But at the same time, it's I don't know. For me,
The corner is definitely bad because Garcia and Fernandez are both saying, "Yeah, you're winning, champ. You're winning, champ," and I didn't like it, and I don't know why. Like he chose these guys. I would have liked him to take Derek James. Derek James seems to be a much better, coach, but it's up to AJ at the end of the day. It's up to him who he chooses. I'm not his friend. I just support the fight. That's all I do. I don't care too much about the fighters these days. I used to be a fanboy. I'm not like that no more. I don't care about these fighters no more. I don't care what they do outside the ring. But I was kind of disappointed because I did want to see the undisputed fight, him against Fury, big British showdown. And now we're not going to see that. And I'm gutted as well. I'm really, really disappointed in that. And his behavior is uncalled for. But at the same time, did he go really too far? Are we kind of overstepping the mark? I think so because, he hasn't really hurt anybody. Yes, he took the limelight out of Usyk. But like I said, he had a mental breakdown, and there's nothing we could do about it. Yes, other people are suffering. Yes, AJ got a lot of money, but he's gone past that level. He's already, he's had money for years now. So it's not even about that to him no more. To him, it's about the victory. It's about beating the guy. And he couldn't beat the guy, 2 times in a row. He got outboxed against a smaller guy. He can't hit him. He's too fast. And he can't accept it. And now he's just going to have to fight his own demons. And it's just what it is. Yes, I'm saying, but at the same time, I'm not making excuses. Absolutely, I'm not making excuses. But that's the way I see it. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
He's lost it last night, and he shouldn't have. And yeah, some of his team members should have took the mic off him. But maybe they're too scared. Maybe they're, oh, yes, man. And maybe he needs to get rid of all of them. But who am I? I'm just here on this YouTube stuff. But yeah, go ahead, guys.
Well, for me, Mo, like I said earlier in the live stream, I said the problem for me, what I didn't understand what was going on as well, was who was taking charge of his corner. Because it seemed to me that Angel Fernandez was the main man when it should have been Robert Garcia. Half the rounds, Robert Garcia was behind the ropes. Fernandez was like centered, talking to him on the stool and telling him what to do.
Yeah, because what I didn't like in these other interviews just before the fight on IFL, they were saying oh yeah, we both are the coach and all that sort of stuff. Nobody is the main guy. We haven't got no egos. And I was thinking that's kind of the wrong way to go around it. Somebody has to be the main coach. And that's one of the reasons as well. I think they're, oh, yes, man. Like, they just, the whole entourage.
Take the lead, hold of the leads, don't they?
Yeah.
The reins, sorry.
You have to be selfish in this sport. Yeah, you're on your own. Now he's going to have to suffer that and deal with the loss. You're on your own in this sport. It is what it is. Look when Wilder lost. Like, yeah, Malik Scott, to me, I kind of didn't agree with it as well. Someone with less experience. And to me, he does sound like a yes man as well. I'm not gonna lie. But it's up to him again. Who am I to say to Deontay Wilder to change his coach? But that's what I'm saying. These fighters, I don't know. For some reason, they like yes man. They like somebody to tell them, you're doing good. They want someone to baby them. And that's the thing. What goes wrong in this sport, man? They just need to say someone. They just need someone to say how it is. But guess what? These trainers, they want money, man. They want to get paid. They want to get paid, and that's why they want to stick around. They don't want to get the sack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fighters that want to get better will go with someone who can teach them. There's not a lot of guys who want to be better or be the best. There are too many of them out here today that basically want to make their money and kind of stay in a lane of comfort. And this is why I crap on the individuals that fall under that umbrella like I do. And some of them might happen to be some of your favorite guys or whatever. But when they don't challenge themselves, when they don't try to rise to be the best, you could tell simply by how often some of them fight. Deontay Wilder just talked about last week after announcing that he's going to come back. He said he'd like to fight 3 times a year. There are guys who won't fight more than once every 18 months or so.
Yeah, that is true.
The thing about that is, it's like, first of all, if you're a fighter, you have to be in a certain frame of mind. Second of all, you have to be in a certain type of conditioning. Okay? And then you have to put yourself in a place to be successful. That's a combination of 2 things: the psyche, the physical. And if those aren't married and in unison, how can you be successful? How? See? So when you talk about guys who sit on the shelf and they can boast and go on social media and say all this stuff, I don't care about social media. One thing, Mo Boxing, you said about me is being an older guy. I do have a certain mindset about the social media aspect of things, because that's something that we really could do without, but it's there to stay because of the access. You have access to so much stuff 24/7, 365. But I'm like from Marvin Hagler's era, right? When Hagler would go into training, he'd go somewhere and live like he was in prison. Okay? No phone calls, no ladies, family, wives, anything, children even. And he goes in there for 12 weeks or whatever, and he comes out ready to rip that other guy's head off whom he's facing in his obligation. And guess what? After that, he's doing it again in another 6 months. Yeah.
Guys,
they don't have that type of dedication.
It's because of the promotion as well. Nowadays, they have to be online, and I do feel like, why are these other guys, the entourage, why are they getting paid so much money? Why don't they do the promotion for them? But for some reason, I seen AJ, like, he was on Twitter a couple of days before the fight. To me, like, he should have been already, like, locked in. My friend, he traveled to the fight in Saudi, and he hasn't seen AJ, but he's seen the whole entourage. He stayed in the same hotel as them, by luck. So they're just walking around, like, it's just, they need to be locked in, like Stormy said. Yeah, and obviously, yeah, Stormy, like I said, yeah, you're much more, when I said older, like, I mean, like, wiser as well. These guys are like, in early 30s. They're the young beasts, and they're lost. They just lost. It's just how is this era. A lot of guys are lost. And AJ, to me, I reckon he need to get off social media now. All this frustration, to me as well, I blame it on him being on the internet too much, because he's seen too many people criticizing him. There's rumors as well that he listens on YouTube. He listens on YouTube Boxing. Apparently he's got an account and he's listening. Why is he listening to people? He needs to get off YouTube. Don't listen to people, because people ain't going to say something nice about you.
Is that true?
Already in, Yeah, that's what I heard, man.
Ultratech said that today on his live stream.
I mean, listen, like, most of us, I wouldn't even listen to any of us on here. I'm planning on turning my channel off in about a year. So I'm really off boxing. So I don't know why these guys kind of get on it anyway. I mean, it has nothing to do with them.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with them, and he needs to get off that. And you know what? Yeah, like, this guy, Angel Fernandez, he needs to get rid of this guy. For some reason, he's keeping this guy. This guy was in a last camp. If you're gonna get rid of Rob McCracken, then he should have got rid of Fernandez as well. Because Fernandez brought Garcia into the training camp.
Yeah.
So get rid of him as well. Like, why do you need to keep Fernandez? And last night he was basically doing most talking.
Yeah.
It's just and another thing as well. I do feel like AJ got rushed a little bit as well in his career. Like, he's been a champ since 2016. Like, I feel like he got rushed. He should have been like now fighting for like the belts. When you compare him to Wilder and Fury, like, look at them. They had like plenty of fights before they start challenging for the belts. But Eddie Hearn, yeah, I blame him because obviously he's seen a lot of money in this guy. A lot of people are already following AJ before he even became pro.
That man has messed up so many fighters' career, man, and he's getting ready to do the same thing to Conor Benn.
I'm going to flip to
Conor
that.
Benn, if Conor Benn fails terribly in this promotion that's coming up against Chris Eubank Jr., man, that should be the final straw in the stack for people to look at what Hearn and Matchroom are doing to these fighters. If you don't get the message by then, you'll never, ever get the message. But I'm not hoping that happens. I'm not putting bad juju on it or anything like that. I'm hoping that I'm wrong. But there is some consistency here where you could see that Kell Brook, you're seeing AJ.
That's what that fight is. 2.0 Kell Brook.
You're seeing a pattern here, man. And it's like people need to wake up. They need to wake up. AJ could have done himself a tremendous service by, when he was over here looking for coaches and everything, he could have come over here, had a private meeting with Lennox Lewis and ironed out his wrongfulness toward Lennox and asked for some genuine assistance. Gil Cole's comment out there about not blaming Garcia leads right into what I suggested. He could have taken a couple of fights with a new trainer and coach added into his camp and worked on some things and come back against Usyk, because 2 fights, he could have done that within 4 to 5 months. They were a year from fighting each other. So AJ could have got right back into the gym, got right back to doing some things. There are other fighters who do it all the time. Boots Ennis is always in the gym. He just can't get the fights because people don't want to fight him. And he's not interested in just taking all these fights against no-name people that really don't serve him any justice, because he's at that contender stage now, and he's just waiting for whatever's going to sort itself out between Crawford and Spence. He's ready to step right in. But AJ could have taken 2 fights 4 months apart and worked on some stuff and been ready to come back against Usyk, having worked on some things, rebuilt his confidence, and had some activity that'll allow him to get comfortable in what they wanted him to do. Yes, he did some great things in the fight Saturday night. Looked better than he looked in a long time. I agree. But he wasn't going to win against this guy, because this guy is seasoned in defeating top quality fighters. He knows how to box. He knows how to fight. He knew exactly when AJ had that great round in the 8th or 9th or whichever round that was. He came back the very next round and took it away from him. Took his momentum away. That's what a real fighter does. Every great fighter that you've seen Roy Jones, you've seen Bernard Hopkins, you've seen Evander Holyfield and Lennox, and you've seen these guys. They'll have a bad round like that, and then they'll come back and have a surge, and you wonder, like, where did that come from? Because that's the competitive nature of someone who is accustomed to rising to challenges that they have to face. And that's how they overcome and persevere. You can't do that on a hope trip. And I call a hope trip, what he did was making a change in the camp, but not allowing himself the luxury of taking it and put it into effect before going in there at the final dance.
Well, yeah, I agree with that what you've just said. Because, like you say, in round 9, when he did put it on Usyk came out in round 10 and just got stuck in and took it away, yeah. The thing is as well, what I don't understand about AJ, when he had him hurt in round 9, why was he not? Why did he not do that from very early on? Because I stated in my video, I think the way for him to beat him is to just fucking go at him like a bull in a china shop, just fucking steamroll him, and just hope you get him out of there. But I don't know. He seemed like to me that he wanted to try and box with him again. I mean, he was a lot better last night than what he was in the first fight. But for me, he allowed Usyk to dictate the pace, and once Usyk dictated the pace, he was just off stealing rounds. But I do agree with you, Stormy. He's not been active enough. If you look over,
man, I wish I could talk about this a little more, but I got to get ready for my Sunday night show. But I just want to say, hey, man, you know, I'm not bashing the guy. There's some things he could do, and he could still be productive, but he needs to make some changes within, and then he also needs to make some changes around him.
Yeah,
and once he does
absolutely agree with you. And Somi, before you go, I just want to say as well, like, you know, I think AJ against Wilder, that fight is not dead yet, because if you remember, you know, Wilder lost twice, AJ lost 3 times now, so they can still fight. You know, that fight is still going to be a huge fight. So,
yeah,
you know, all he has to do is work on his, you know, whatever is going on in his head, he just needs to sort it out. You know, what he done yesterday, yeah, completely wrong, but at the same time, he needs to fix that. We can't dwell on it forever. You know, he's gonna have to live with his mistakes, not us.
Yep.
You know, we're just the fans. You know, who are we to say that? We just want to see the best fights, and I don't want him to retire. A lot of people are saying he needs to retire. I remember when Wilder lost, they were saying he's finished. Now he's coming back October the 15th. You know, after that, I'm hearing now AJ is going to be fighting in December now. Eldab said in your chat loss earlier. So
Eddie Hearn said that yesterday at the press conference.
So yeah, after that fight, I want him to make the Wilder fight. I don't want to hear this shenanigan. Wilder saying, "Oh, the insurance, they're trying to use him for insurance." All of this chit chat, that needs to stop now. We've had 4 years of this miserable talks. Just get it done. Just get it done. Just get it done.
I agree.
Yeah, man. Bless up to you, Stormy, man.
All right, same to you, brothers, and thanks again for having me, man. And I'll catch you guys on the next go round, man.
All right, man. Peace out.
Peace.
Salute to you. Just let me read this quick from Gil Coles. Gil's put, AJ still couldn't keep his head off the centre line. Usyk was putting combinations all upside his head. Yeah, he was. I mean, I'm going to flip from this fight in a minute. Just quickly to wrap this section up. Me personally, for me, I don't want to see him retire, because it's like Ultratech was saying today, what have we got forward to look to after AJ and Tyson Fury have gone in British boxing? Johnny Fisher and people like that.
Welcome to our club. We haven't had a good heavyweight in absolute years, and we'll never have it, because all of us would rather play football and basketball, and I don't blame them, because if you're making $50 million a year playing basketball, what would you choose? What are the chances you make $50 million in boxing? Very low.
Yeah.
And they're also saying like, oh, Dubois beats AJ now. You know, have we forgotten that he win? You know, have we forgotten he won against Joe Joyce? Yeah.
Fucking hell, AJ fucking steamroll Daniel Dubois. You fucking steamrolling. The The only thing that my gripe with AJ, the only thing what like I do agree with what Stormy says. He's not been active enough for me over the last 4 years. If you look since, was it 2018 when he lost to Ruiz, or 2019?
2019.
He's only had 4 fights in 3 years, 4 years. It's just not good enough for a champion. I know all these fighters are doing it now. Once they get to title contender or a champion, they just cut off. I understand that. But that's one thing what you've got to give Canelo credit for. Canelo's fighting fucking 3 or 4 times a year. You know, even though some people don't like him, whatever. I like Canelo. I don't agree with all the fights he's had. But one thing you can't knock Canelo for, the man's active. He's the most active fucking champion there is. He's constantly fighting. Okay, yes, he lost to, was that a cherry pick gone wrong against Bivol? I think so. But he's fighting again. Golovkin, nobody really wants to see the third. Well, I don't want to see the third fight, but he can't knock Canelo because he's active. And I think that's what the problem, one of the problems is with AJ. Since he beat Klitschko, he fighting once a year is just not good enough as a heavyweight champion. You've got to be fighting at least 2 or 3 times a year just to keep the rust out and you know, keep your tools sharpened. That's what I think anyway. That's what I think. What do you think before I go on to the last subject?
He needs to fight more often. I absolutely agree with you. And hopefully he fights in December. And then after that, hopefully he fights around May. But the thing is, they're getting so much money that these guys don't want to fight all the time anymore. They just want to fight once a year because of the money. The money is just too much. It's just too much money. That's why they're happy what they get. That's why they just want to fight once a year, you know?
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll do that.
Tyrone, your last thing to wrap it up before we go to the last part of this?
Nothing much. I mean, he lost to a fantastic fighter, right? Anybody who's watching for a long time could see that.
Yeah.
Did he win rounds? Yeah, I had an 8-4. I had about 8-4, similar to the last fight. I said it would be similar to the last fight. It was. Even some of the same sequences, like in the first fight, I said he got hurt in round 7, right? You thought the tide would turn, and then the guy goes on to sweep the other round. Same thing happened in this fight with he got hurt in round 9, and then tide would turn and went the other way. I mean, he didn't get knocked out and be put on social media, you know, like some people. He didn't lose to a plus 300. Well, this time, right? I mean, it's not bad. I mean, he lost to a really good guy. I mean, and he's young. He's like 33 or whatever.
I know what you're trying to say, Ty. I agree.
Yeah,
Can I just say one thing quickly? The meme as well. They didn't make a meme of him like lying on the floor. The only meme that's going around right now is just him like shouting at people. And to me, that's not too bad in my opinion.
Better than what happened to that Nigerian guy in the UFC.
Yeah. Or Wilder, for example. Like, you know, they're not like clowning him like, you know, with teddy bears and all that sort of stuff. Because that's what people are like, you know, unfortunately.
Yeah. The boxing fans are ruthless, man. They're like they say, you're only as good as your last fight, aren't they?
I mean, you could probably line, you know, you can put a photo line up and you'll be able to pick the boxing fan. And after, you know, any average, you know, John Q public, you can put a line of them and you can pick out who's the boxing fan.
Thing is, so Ty, with boxing fans, mate, as soon as you lose a fight, they jump ship like fucking like fleas jumping from a dog to another dog, don't they?
Yep.
You know, 1 minute you can have all the fans in the world. As soon as you get beat, half of them fans are gone. They're on to the next. They're ruthless, boxing fans are. And the media are ruthless with boxers as well, especially over here. the British media are well quick to sling you under the bus. You don't get no fucking break from these. Anyway, are we ready to wrap that up? Because I'm only going to be on for about another 20 minutes, but I just want to cover this.
Yeah.
So obviously, we all know it's Gonad. What's your take on it?
Kind of. I mean, the only upside here is for Mr. Ben if he wins, but I mean, this doesn't put. I don't think Eubank is interested in world titles. I don't think he's interested in challenging for them or putting himself in a position. It's
Yeah.
money for him. He just hasn't said it yet, and that's his right. But don't tell people that you want to go and move on and fight Triple G or all these Andres or whatever it is, but you really don't have any interest. I mean, they were actually set to fight Charlo, right? Charlo was going to fight him after after Korobov threw out his arm.
Yeah, Korobov.
And after that fight, they would have fought over here, I guess. And I guess he decided to go a different direction. So, Yo Coles, me and Derek Bailey are the last Thurman US, probably. I mean, they've all jumped ship from him as well. I mean, yeah, but back to the Ben Eubank fight. What's it, 157? Is that the catch weight?
157, yeah. Yeah, 157.
I think he can shake it off because, like, I was watching Eubank during the what was it, the Super Series when he was in it that first go around, and I saw him on Snapchat, and it was like 3 weeks before the Groves fight. Actually, not. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a couple months, like 2 months before the Groves fight, and he was 164 pounds. And he was fighting at 168 at that time. So the guy's a naturally small guy. He's always ripped up.
Oh, yeah, he's always in fantastic shape. Eubank says, yeah.
If he wanted to make weight today, he probably could. Honestly.
Yeah, my take on it, well, I could sit here all day and talk about this fight, but my take on it, yeah, get that flute played, Gil, and get on your magic carpet as well whilst you're playing it. My take on it is, I think you're right. Eubank's definitely it's a money job. I think it means more than money to Conor Ben because it's a family thing. But for the life of God, I can't understand why he's taking this fight because if he gets beat, which I think he is going to get beat, and I think he'll get savagely beat up, I can't understand why the lad's not fighting fighters in his own division. You know, I went on a channel the other day, Ty. You were what weight are Ben and Eubanks fighting at? 157, Gil. Catch weight. I mean, this guy was saying he could play into Ben's hand because Eubank will be that drained. Excuse me, the lowest Eubanks has ever fought at, apparently, he was saying was 158. Will it play into his hands, Ben's hand, if Eubank can't get him out of there? Very well could do. But for me, I don't know. I said in the chat, I said Conor Ben should be fighting either David Anavician, Virgil Ortiz, or Boots Ennis, someone of that caliber. And the guy said, "Yeah, he's not ready for Virgil Ortiz." And I was like, "Why is he not ready for Virgil Ortiz? He's had more fights than Virgil Ortiz. He's older than him." And you're saying, "Oh yeah, but the level of what he's been fighting at." Well, I don't know. I think Eubanks is going to do a number on him. I really do. I just do. I just can't see Conor Ben. I don't know. We don't know. What do you think, Mel?
Conor Ben, to me, for this fight, it's like a win-win kind of situation because if he loses, he can make the excuse saying I was a smaller guy.
Yes.
And he can go on and come back to 147. And these other guys that you mentioned, that Venetian and Boots Ennis, he's not on their level, and he knows that. And also, there's no money in that fight either because they haven't got high profile just yet. Boots gonna be a big profile, in a couple of years to come, but not now. And Eubank is all lose for Eubank, to be honest. If he beats him, they're gonna say, you're a weight bully.
Yeah.
And if he loses, they're gonna say you was trash. So they're gonna clown him. So
Totally agree,
it's all
Mo.
for Ben,
Totally
for
agree.
win-win kind of thing. And Eddie is always gonna swing everything around for Ben. And I do think Ben does got slight chance of winning this fight because Eubank, he didn't even knock out Liam Williams in his last fight. He did knock him down, but it went to distance. So, Eubank, he could beat him. If it goes to the scorecard, they might even give it to Eubank. So,
yeah,
it's just a fight. It's just a money fight. It's just a money fight. That's all that is to it. That's all it is to it. You know what I mean?
And the thing is as well, Mo. I've been reading up and down these boxing channels and pages and stuff like that on Facebook. People going, "Oh, Conor Ben's gonna knock him out." I'm telling you now, as long as I've got an hole in my arse, Conor Ben is not knocking Chris Eubanks. When have you ever seen Chris Eubanks in trouble? The man's got a fucking granite chin. That's one thing what swings in Eubanks' favour. I personally, I've never seen him ever in trouble. Have you? I've seen him lose fights, but I've never seen him get wobbled or knocked down.
I saw him take a deep squat after a straight right from Groves. That was it.
Well, there you go. I think I don't know. That was a close fight with Groves. It was a good fight as well. Me personally, like you say, I totally agree with you, Ty. It's a win-win for Conor Ben. It doesn't really mean anything for Chris Eubanks. And like I say, I agree with Ty. Eubanks is not interested in fighting the world championships
not at all.
But I think Eubanks will do a number on him. I do. I think he'll knock him out. And I think he might knock him out savagely. But hey, but what's made me laugh is I have seen twice last week that Conor Ben's on. You mentioned Virgil Ortiz's name twice. Yeah, I'll get back to fighting them and that when I've beat him. I was like, fuck yeah. For me, I think Virgil Ortiz is the best up and coming prospect as a welterweight. I can't speak for Boots Ennis because I've only seen tiny little clips of him. But for me, I think Virgil Ortiz, I don't know, I just like Virgil Ortiz. I think he's a good fighter. I like his aggression. I watched him the other week against McKitson. McKitson's a slippy little fish. It didn't take long for him to work him out, but I don't know, who's your best prospect, up and coming prospect?
Boots is better than Virgil Ortiz in my opinion because Boots, he's got everything. He's got the skills, he's got the power, he's got the defense, and I think he'll pick Virgil Ortiz apart. That's why they said we're not going to take this fight for at least 4 years. So I think Boots, for me, he's the prospect for 147 bar. He is a big dude as well, so he might not even stay at 147. He might go up to 154. So hopefully we get to see that fight soon. I got a feeling they're going to build it up.
I like Stanionis. I like Stanionis, the Lithuanian guy.
Yeah, Stormy's always on about him.
Yeah, I like him the best. Even though I'd probably pick Mr. Ennis in a fight against him. Let me tell you, Mr. Ennis, I was big on him before. First time I saw him was on 2016, I think, on Showbox. But again, he's going to be lined up for a big right hand, dude. I mean, you can't find these guys and think they've got nothing for you. I mean, the moment he gets in there with somebody as big or bigger than him, there could be an issue. Or somebody who can actually punch. But
I don't think he's fought better competition than
no, not at all.
Virgil Ortiz as well.
No, he hasn't.
Yeah. Oh no. Right, I'm going to wrap it up, boys. It's getting a bit late over here. Fucking it's 12:10 at night.
All right, fellas. I'll see you guys around, man.
Yeah, because I've got to get up in the morning, got work. Right, salute to everyone. Gil Coles, Dave Bailey, Law, Stony B Man, Tyrone, Mo, everyone who come through, London G. I'm a part of the peace to you, Tyrone, and peace, Mo.
Oh, peace, guys. Peace, guys.
Thanks for coming through. It was an interesting subject. I'll catch you soon, Tyrone.
All
I'll
right,
probably
man.
give you a ring in a bit if you're up for a ring.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
All right.
Peace out. See you soon.
Peace.